Hey guys, welcome to the RoundTable. This is episode 92. I'm Jenny Walker, the social media ministry leader here at Life Church, and this is Mike Hill. He is our lead pastor. And in the middle, we have two guests today. We have the Grovers, so Elizabeth and Robert Grover.
Wow, that's cool. The Grovers.
The Grovers. I introduced them in the text.
No, I thought maybe you forgot their names.
No.
Because that would be something I would do. I'd be like, I don't know your name, so what's up, Grovers?
No, remember that's my worst fear, to forget people's names. Huh? That's my worst fear.
No, I know.
Even
That's why I
know
thought you
people's
did.
names?
I thought you forgot their names.
They're the Grovers.
Huh?
The Grovers.
Yeah.
Just had a
was
ring
it
to
special
it.
delivery?
Oh, it might be.
Special delivery.
Who is that?
Oh my gosh, second time in a row.
Listen.
Wow.
This time I have something for everyone.
Oh my goodness. Yay.
So this is, if you're listening, this is Tammy, the most
Oh, you got a
awesome.
Spartacus.
Wow. Thank you. I know.
Aw. Tammy, say hi to the camera.
Hey, you know who has my lunch bag? Hadley. She's got her doll babies in it. Yeah, her doll babies are in there.
That's good.
Tammy's the best. Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you, Tammy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I got triple osmosis water, but you're all jealous.
Yeah. So anyway, so you guys tell us a little bit about you guys. What do you love to do? What's going on in your life? Yeah, just tell us some passions you have, maybe.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we've been married for 2 years, going on 2 years.
Okay.
When is your
September.
September?
Yeah,
Okay.
9/11.
Did you know?
She was the one I was
Really?
banking on, so now that she's stumbling on it, I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, I was just like glad she got it
He'll
out.
never
Yeah.
forget the day, though.
No,
So-
never.
You don't forget the day?
No, it's 9/11.
9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was by accident, but
Hey, that is my dog's gotcha day, and
Yeah.
the first time I met Roman was 9/11. So that's a good day.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
I
good
It's
share
a
day.
that
great
with
day.
them.
It was when thousands of Americans were killed by the towelheads.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thousands of
I do.
Americans.
I don't
I
mean
was
to
a
make
big-
I
light
met
of it.
Roman on that day. It's such a good day.
Well, they got married on that day, so
Yeah.
Okay.
can't we make a good thing bad?
Right.
Or
Well,
a
we
bad thing
we
good?
don't really have a memory.
We still have time to
of
figure
You
it
don't
out.
have a
It's
memory
good.
of 9/11?
No, I was one.
You were?
Yeah, because it was in 2001.
That's right, because you both are 22.
Yeah.
Hey, do they teach
Yeah.
9/11 in high school?
I don't know about high school nowadays, but
I dropped out. So. Not certain.
Great answer.
I graduated about 6 years ago.
Okay.
So
Did they teach
It's
it
been
in
a-
elementary school or anything? Like,
they
was it in the
talk.
history
They talk
books?
about it.
Yeah,
They
see,
do?
Lexi did a
Yeah.
whole thing on 9/11
Really?
in her for first graders.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
so weird.
Yeah, they
because she
talk
just
about it.
wanted to
but-
make sure you don't forget.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a monumental
Where were you
moment
at?
in American history. Huh?
Where were you at? Do you remember?
Working at Zerker Tire, standing at the desks when I
Watching.
took over being service manager there instead of a mechanic. And I'm looking up there, and they always have the news,
Yeah.
in the waiting area. And a guy says, some small plane flew into something. That's how it all started. And then, but then we've been to the 9/11 museum. And yeah, I mean,
Oh, that's fun.
just the concept
fun.
of how it changed American history.
Yeah.
And still to this day has a huge impact. But I think it's weird because a lot of times we forget history.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we repeat it.
Yeah, it's
You know what
easily
I mean?
repeated.
Yeah, like we forget it and then we just repeat it, if you don't remember it.
Yep.
Anyway, off the subject.
Yes.
You were married 2 years ago on 9/11.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
Okay. What else about you guys? What do you love to do? What are you passionate about?
Well,
And you can say video games.
yeah, I enjoy video games. I wouldn't say it's my life. Most of my like time, at least at work, is working. And then
And where do you work?
Phil Wright.
Okay.
It's a pump manufacturing company.
Okay.
So most of my time is spent there, but like at the same time throughout the day, I have my YouTube app open and I listen to sermons.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you're playing video games.
No,
Hopefully nobody from Phil Wright's listening.
No.
Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. No, most of the time I'm listening to sermons and like deep theology of Christianity and other religions, and then like I really enjoy debates. Like the debates on YouTube are pretty
Versus
good.
the
Let's
different-
have a debate.
No, I'm good. I'm
No.
not, I'm not good at
Hey,
these.
did you hear the most recent debate?
No.
It was about public schools and Christian schools. It was with Jen Wilkerson, I think. I can't remember her last name. And then somebody else. They were debating against it.
Okay. No, like
That's all I got.
Yeah.
about
So
it.
what's something that you like to watch? A big subject of debate. You're like,
Yeah, come on, let's get spicy with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Well, like one of the more recent ones I
Yes.
watched, I guess. I don't know if I necessarily have a favorite subject matter, but the idea. Well, obviously these are all minor issues, but there's two things technically. So the Catholic Church is like a really big one that I like to heavily look into because my mother and apparently my dad and everybody is officially Catholic. And which my mom has been Catholic my entire life and tried raising me in it, but it's not, sunshine and rainbows or nothing. So, yeah. And then the other thing is whether or not the earth is young or old.
What?
okay.
You've never heard that before?
No.
Young
Yeah, okay,
racers
so
and-
like
Young
the young
what?
earth theory is everything that the Bible has dictated is the distance of time that the earth has like been alive or whatever, right? So
Okay.
from Genesis all the way to now is the timeline of us.
Okay.
Or you believe that there was millions of billions and trillions of years and God created the earth all the way back then and then progressively strung all these details across and only left the really important ones. As you can tell, obviously, I'm very one-sided on it, but,
Which side?
young Earth.
Yeah.
Because, from a...
Oh, why
don't-
wouldn't that be in the Bible? Why are
because it doesn't say, well, then again, there's a lot of things it doesn't say, but it specifically doesn't just say, the Earth's, 42 million years old, and
Right.
that's why this person could live for a really long time, and this person now only lives till 50, or whatever. It's just, there's, because it's like science versus
yeah.
creation. And so that's the big back and forth between the two is whether or not science is right or because there's Christian science which believes in the, it's really long, but like the bits are just pulled out and thrown into the Bible. But I don't know. I can't see it being billions of years old and God's
Yeah.
still cool with everything being the way it is now, he should have been back, a couple billion years ago when everything was the way it was, or even now, but
Wow, that's really confusing.
Yeah. So do you get into any of the debates that are current?
Yeah.
Certain situations that are happening currently? that you're-
currently.
Well, no, I mean, again, not that that's you are or aren't. I was just curious if there are certain current events that.
Well, there's a lot of political stuff that I'll get sucked into,
Like
super
what?
easy. Because there's a whole algorithm, right? And
Yep.
it doesn't matter what you watch, they'll just feed little nuggets of weird stuff in there occasionally, and you just get sucked into it, and then you're devoting a couple hours
Yeah.
to it. But, yeah, no, I guess current issue wise was the Roe v. Wade stuff, how it was overturned. That was a big thing, which I know wasn't yesterday, but that was a pretty big debate point. And then, yeah, I don't really know.
No, that's okay. I was just curious, what intrigues you, when it gets to these, man, I'm passionate about this, and I'm gonna look everything up because I want to be ready to debate.
Yeah. So the reason I do it is because I want to. For whatever reason in my head, it helps me get closer to God because it gives me multiple viewpoints on everything. And then I can because, the Bible's true, I can just take what it says and I can know whether or not that person's telling the truth or lying. Because, I don't know, it just makes me dig a lot more into my relationship with God.
And he just likes to debate.
That too.
Yeah, so you want to have a debate?
Yeah, he's dying to have
Like I
one
said,
with
we
you.
don't have to. We can try, but I'm
What
not
do you
gonna.
what do you think the Bible says about people being late?
This is a major or minor issue.
No, I'm just saying, does that fit anywhere in the theological places that you've been digging on?
Well, I mean,
you know.
God's pretty on time with most of the things He says He's going to do. So, I guess I should strive to be more on time.
No, let's go back. Maybe this was a
Okay.
bigger question. Does God want his people to be disciplined? And so in discipline, it would be
To be timely.
a schedule on time, during certain things, or is it just a personality thing? Some people are disciplined, some people aren't disciplined.
I think that. So it's hard to say yay or nay because like God gives us the freedom to choose, but also he gives us a lot of suggestions along the way to kind of narrow us down to a fine point, whether we actually, go that extra distance and get down to that point. It's to each their own or whatever, but like, I don't know, like, I guess he wants us to be disciplined. So I have been striving to be more disciplined, even though it's very difficult to.
No, this isn't a push on you.
No,
I'm
no,
saying
no,
Okay,
Listen, we can be late because God also wants you. God also wants you to not have your time so scheduled where you are missing the moments where
Where
he
I'm
can
late and then I
influence.
run into somebody. I hit somebody with my car and then Jesus. Okay.
that's completely
But
different.
it
how is
also
that
has to
different?
do with what you're doing with that time that you're running late for.
Right.
I think is also important.
That's true.
Because if it's video games,
Please elaborate.
something else. Okay, yes, the day before yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he was late to work because I told him he was going to
By
be.
like 5 minutes.
Yep,
But
which is
continue.
still late.
Continue.
And I told him that in order to get there on time, he had to leave at this time.
You said
He
a
decided
lot
to
more than
leave.
that.
Yes, and you didn't listen. The point of the matter is you didn't
She
listen.
said a lot more than that.
She did. She did.
I can guarantee
A
it.
lot of names, a lot of orders.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you ask your boss how many points you got, so that way I know how many more times you can be late.
Well, wait a second. So keep that thought.
Yeah.
Keep that thought because I want to talk about that subject for just a second. But Jenny, I want to go back to what you're saying. So you're saying that God is completely okay with disorder.
I'm not saying that's disorder. I'm saying
Being
it
late's
is-
not disorder?
Well, yes. Well, no. Well, yeah.
I'm just saying,
I mean, okay, not
Okay.
like, I don't know. I'm just saying to allow time to where you are not so scheduled to be somewhere where you're leaving no time that if somebody stopped, I'm not making any sense. Never mind.
No. Again, don't take
Yeah.
this as a
No, I
because
know.
it's a very interesting subject for me. Because obviously for me, I think anybody that's late is selfish.
Right.
And again, it's not a point, huh?
I don't think that way.
Right, because you don't care that everybody else is sitting there waiting on you.
No, that's actually the complete opposite.
No, because if you did care, you'd be on time.
No.
Okay.
No, that's not the case at all. I actually care like way more about the person that is waiting on me. Like when I'm in the car, when we just had this conversation before, asked him if he was an anxious late person or not. Like I'm sitting there doing it to myself, like I'm driving and I'm thinking about everybody that's waiting for
let's
me.
be honest.
But
Okay.
I don't mean to do it.
No, you do mean to do
No,
it.
I do not.
No, you
I
do.
get distracted. I don't have an idea of time. So 5 minutes is like 20 minutes to me. So if I think it's going to take me 5 minutes to do something, it ends up taking like 20, 25, 30, who knows, an hour.
And again, don't take that bad.
I'm
I mean,
not.
when I say selfish, I'm not like pointing or like jabbing people. I'm just saying, again, I think it can go both ways. I think just for somebody that's super scheduled and gives no time for margin and no time for fun and no time or no opportunities to do some of those things is wrong. But at the same time, there can't be this whole idea of disorder and whenever it works, right?
But it's not like that. It's not like just whenever it works. I'm not doing my life and not thinking about anybody else.
No, but again,
I have
without
a
elaborating the
mental
point, we all have a good
illness.
idea. Like we all have a pretty good idea over time. Like I would get this concept. Like over time, you might think something takes 20 minutes and it took you 30. But okay, you've done it now 10
No,
times.
that's
and
not
so,
how. No, that is not how the ADHD brain works.
Okay.
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 Like I don't know what it is. It can happen over and over and over, but every single time I think that it takes a different time.
Okay, so then if you were an employer and you were employing Robert,
Oh, I already know.
You know what?
I don't like people to be late either. Because when I was managing the cafe, like that's not appreciated. But I get it. Like I get it.
No, I know. So should we make exceptions for the ADHD brain
Yes.
and just say, as long as you can give me a card, just show up whenever?
No, but within I would say within the 5-minute range.
Okay.
So they could be like 5:02 or 5:03 or 5:04.
I wouldn't have been late in the last
Right.
2 weeks.
See? Like we can get there on time. It's just going to be like 5 minutes late, possibly, or 2 or 1.
Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, let's go back to the whole Proverbs scripture that we talked about, okay? So in Proverbs, because this was a question after I brought it up, so like the nagging, drippy faucet wife, and you just want to go up into you want to go to the desert and die, or you want to go on the top of the roof and just get away from them because they're always nagging you. So that's what you got, essentially what you're saying, as you were like, elaborate a little bit more, or you said a few more. So now what's the balance? Because this was asked after the message. What's the balance of somebody that's helping you try to get better, and what's the balance of you're nagging me? Like, what is the difference between a drippy, naggy faucet, wife, and somebody that's helping you try to get better? Like, what is the difference? And I'm interested. I'm not saying we know exactly, but what would you think the difference would be?
You can go first. I got a good idea, but I want to.
I think it goes down to how many times you say it, because I do remind him the same thing over and over again, about every 5 minutes.
So you think you were nagging?
Oh yeah.
So you are a drippy faucet?
I am a drippy stuff. He reminds me by going drip, drip. Yeah.
Been doing it since we got married.
Yeah, since we got married. Yeah, I regretted asking him to go to church with me because.
Yeah, I got hooked on it. And
He started
devoted
reading
my life
into
to it in a way.
Okay.
The drippy faucets.
Yeah.
Just you.
So what do you think, Robert, with that?
All right. So let's see. How would you restate the question?
Yeah.
for
So
me?
again, what is the difference? Because I do think that there is this level of, I want to help Jenny be better. So I'm going to remind her that it's selfish to be late. So then when does it become, okay, stop being the drippy faucet. Stop reminding me all the time. Stop telling me all the I know. Stop doing it. What's the balance? So what would be helpful? So if you could say to Elizabeth, right?
Yes.
What would be something that would be helpful and not a drippy faucet? Because you do want her to make you a better man.
Yes,
Right?
I
So
do.
so what is the balance?
Okay, so for me personally, what I think should be done is, okay, so you've told me 14 times, right? And like the first couple times you gotta, okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna work on it. I promise we'll get better. Just give me time.
That's what you're saying?
Yes, you get
Okay.
that. That should be your indicator that, okay, I've gotten through to him a little bit. Like I've planted a seed. It's not a big one, but it might turn into something. So I'll give him a couple months. Okay. Now, if these months go by and nothing has changed, occasionally just, hey, you need to be better. Let's get better. Not, you're just such a horrible person that never does anything I want, and I swear,
Okay.
there's
I grew up in a house with 6 other girls. So everything, even nowadays, that you have to say, you just say it. So that's how I grew up.
I agree, but when you say it so many times, it goes to a point where like I'm listening to you and I can retain the information and I care a little bit, to where now it's like, okay, you've told me 30,000 times and now I'm going to start doing it out of spite. Just
Really?
because.
That's a man for you?
Well, just not like I'm.
Right.
I'm not a man. I am almost man. Okay, so there's manhood and then there's me down here.
Okay. Well, wait. So keep that thought. We'll talk about that
Climbing.
for a second too. So let me throw this out there, because this is what I would say. So when somebody asked me about it after the service, I said, well, could the response be, and how would this go? So if Elizabeth said, so let's just pick one of the things she nags you about.
Okay. Probably timeliness is probably the worst out of all of them.
So if she said to you, listen, I understand, like you're working on all those things. How can I help you?
That would be great.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, she's pregnant. And so, like, I got to keep her from helping me with stuff.
No, I'm like help you be on time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, from the concept of
Yeah.
like, listen, so she
Right.
was designed to be a helper.
Yeah.
So if she said, listen, I'm not going to horribilize you, you know, not saying that's
Yeah,
what you
no,
do.
you're okay.
I'm just saying, but if it's like, how can I help you? Like, what are some things that we could put in place to help you as you're growing
I got it.
from where you're at?
Clocks. You can start putting a bunch of clocks everywhere, timers.
Oh, there
So-
are clocks everywhere.
But timers. It's
yeah,
really
right.
it's important to have it timing down.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's hard to see. Like if you see just a clock,
Yeah.
it doesn't make as much sense to see that the time is going down. I don't know why, but then you have to have multiple clocks everywhere. Maybe that say start getting ready, start doing this. Like each thing has
Right.
to be broken up.
Well, and again, the thing that I wanted to get at is like, I think there are some real practical things, but I think it starts with in a relationship, do you feel like your wife's here to help you or nag you? Right. And how you talk to each other and how you respond to each other is a big deal. Right. So if she says, hey, how can I help you? I know this is an issue. How can I help you? And would that come across better? Would you be more motivated to get better?
A million times better, because I've suggested that we go down this route, and like she'll be good for like a couple days, maybe a week, and then it'll turn back into, okay, you know, I've been helping you, but you're still not doing what I want. So here's how this is going to happen. So
Well, so when it comes to helping and
Like,
getting
I'm not starting a fight here, right? Like, I mean, these have been, these have been conversations you guys have had.
We've
right?
had a lot.
Yeah,
of them.
okay.
Yes.
Like, I didn't want to like bring up new,
No,
you know.
because like,
there's not a lot of new stuff. It's,
because my thing is like, if I bring him his clothes and they're sitting there, such as like every Sunday morning, and I've already made breakfast and it's sitting there. Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
You ask for your clothes every morning.
Yes, I ask for them, but do you get them?
Yes. 9 times out of 10.
Who put my work shirt on me today?
I didn't
grabbed
put it on.
Who grabbed my pants? All the other stuff.
Dress me this morning.
I'm sorry. You want me to have your mother come over and dress you?
Yes, please.
I'm not changing
Yeah,
you.
but just like as to
Yes.
open the door, I think men are more open to, because this goes back to at what point do you give him over to God and say, I've said whatever I can do to help, and then I'm going to trust that God and other men are going to come into his life and get it right.
Right. And that control part's really hard.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's just natural, always wanting to be in control, and me being naturally anxious for literally everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Yeah, so that's
That-
what
I
I
think
mean.
that
So
plays a
this
big
is
part
this
in
is
it,
everything
too.
that we've been talking about on
Yeah.
a Sunday morning, right? Is this is hard because most of the time women would say, I have to fix him.
right.
And there's not a question of whether we're broke or not, right? Because most men have something, right, that we need to work on. But there is this natural tendency in a man. The more you tell me that I'm bad, the more I'm just going to keep doing it
right.
because it just makes me mad. Like the more
Yeah.
it just like out of spite, I'm gonna be like, seriously, I've heard it 100 times. And I'm not saying that's for
No,
you guys,
yeah.
but I think
yeah.
sometimes that's the response, you know? So
Yeah.
I just wonder if that's, you know, from your perspective, Robert, would it be like, oh, if it was, but then you also have a responsibility
to not be a butt back, you
or
know,
just
all
not
the
to be,
time.
or not to take it as, oh, she let me off the hook, so I'm not gonna do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what you're talking about. So when you're talking about, I'm going from being a boy to a man, like, let's talk about what that looks like, because I think that's way interesting. First, that you'll admit it.
Yeah.
I mean, kudos to you.
I was going to say, I can tell you for a fact I'm not a man because I've got a lot of people around me that are men, and I've seen how it's done, and I'm really trying, like, digging my heels into, like, even feeding the chickens. Like, you know, I feed them almost every day, and I water them almost every day. Did I used to? No. But Now they're laying
Chickens are forgiving.
4 eggs a day. So
So once they actually get fed, they actually produce something. That's amazing how that works.
We're up to 4 eggs a day.
yeah, no, like I've seen a lot of people in my life that have showed me how to be a man, and that's why I'm making and like even at church, like when we're talking about, you know, what a man's supposed to be and what his struggles are. And like, I don't know if like this happens to everybody, but like I cry like all the time at church because like it's this emotional like wave of God just being like, hey, bud, you know, I mean, you're saying it, but he's like, hey, bud, you know, you're supposed to be a provider and you're supposed to be a man and you're not, you know, and my father-in-law says I'm doing great, but like I'm still struggling in different areas, but I know that I'm getting better. And so like I don't put my head down about it, you know, when I'm running late or you know, anything like that. I keep my head up, and I know that like even like the other day she was getting frustrated because so we moved into our house like 2 years ago, right? I bought smoke detectors 2 years ago, and I have not put the smoke detectors up until a week ago.
Yeah.
So the only reason that was because I was just pushing it off, and I was like, I'll just do it later. And then they went out to the garage, and then like literally 2 weeks ago, I was like, I'm cleaning the garage. You know,
Then you found the smoke detector.
I found the smoke detectors. So I said, well, you know, those can go in. The baby's coming soon. So I start doing all that, and then, you know, next I'm doing more and more and more projects, and then somebody has the audacity to tell me that I'm not spending any time with her, and I'm just being busy. And I was like, okay, if the house catches on fire while I'm busy, are you gonna hear it? Yes,
It was 4 days worth of projects, though,
It was,
might I add.
and it was because I haven't done anything.
I know.
You
That's
know,
a hard
and like,
balance.
Yeah.
but no, like, I mean, in the course of the house, the most I have done is fixed a water leak with my father-in-law. I took some wood and just kind of nailed it to the wall so I could put a door at the bottom of the stairs. And then I very haphazardly put a microwave above my stove, which is just like 2 pieces of wood kind of propping it up. And they're nailed into the walls, so it shouldn't fall, but it probably would. Well, it's real sketchy, because if you touch it, or if you open the door too far, it kind of like leans and twists a little bit, but it hasn't fallen yet. So.
Hey, well, let me start with this. I have been around a bunch of young people and done lots of life coaching. You are light years above everybody that I've been with, because you're at least going to admit, I don't know what it's like to be a man, but I'm willing to learn.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of you from the standpoint of just saying, I didn't have it. Because, I mean, you shared before we started on the podcast, you didn't have an example.
No.
And I don't know that that's rare. Like, I think that's a lot of kids today. Like, they don't have an example, you know, of what it means to be a man. And we're all sitting back saying, what the hell's the matter with all you guys, right? Like, you don't get it, but at the same time, we don't understand it because that's not how we grew up, right? So for us, or the people that are saying it, we grew up and we had it, or we experienced it, and so it seems natural. But what you said earlier, like, this is very unnatural to not stay up all night and play video games.
Yeah. I mean, like, not anymore. Cause
no, I know, but like back then, back then, that was not unnatural.
That was my life, you know? And then when I met her, it was like, okay, she's really cool, so I'm going to shift everything in my life to try to, like, boost her up so she knows she's pretty and that I'm handsome. And then the second we got married, that's when I was like, all right, you know, I'm not even going to shower every day. It'll be fine. And then I got told, hey, you stink. And I was like, okay, I guess I can shower. You know, so I started doing that. And yeah, so, I mean, it was just a progression, and it's getting
So Elizabeth, so tell me a little bit about, so when you guys, so you grew up, you were homeschooled, you watched or saw was modeled, you know, to be a man, right? And to have a guy that was a godly family, right? Like you're, so when you met Robert, was that like, was either a good faker, or did you not care? Or
No, I saw potential, I would say. Because like I had been in a whole 2 other relationships my
Okay.
entire life that lasted maybe 6 months each.
Okay.
Or altogether, I can't remember. But I just, once I saw that they weren't really going in the same, and I didn't know it then, like, but I do know it now. Like, they didn't have the potential to grow up like that.
Right. So when you saw it,
Yeah.
like you saw this future
Yeah,
potential of
not
what
that
you could
not that
be.
they didn't have it; they weren't willing to.
Okay.
Like, the willingness to change wasn't going to be there.
Right.
But when I saw him or met him and
How'd you guys
talked to him
meet?
more, he dated my best friend for 3 months,
Okay.
and then we ended up all hanging out. It was 2 years.
Walmart parking lot.
Yeah, 2 years after, and we all met up and
That's the place.
Huntington.
went to Walmart.
That's the place.
Like that's the place to hang out?
Oh, well, there's not
I-
many places
no.
in Huntington to
Used
hang
to
out.
be.
The Walmart
Yeah.
parking
Or
lot?
Taco Bell when I
Well,
was
because
in
there's
high school.
there's only so many
Taco
things
Bell.
open.
You got truck kids out there. And
Yeah.
just revving up
Yeah.
their, ooh, it sounds like it's going to die.
Yeah.
Yes, no, there's like lines of trucks.
Yeah. You get the one that pulls, this is my dad's car. You like that, don't you? It's an electric. It's a programmed room.
That's hilarious.
But the weekend that he asked me out, this is the weekend that he like officially met me.
I
Because
didn't
we had
even know
known
her
each
name.
other. Yeah, we had known each other, but then he asked me out, and I said, well, first you have to go over to my parents' house.
Okay.
Wow.
So then he went over and talked to Dad.
Yeah,
First.
and to pretend
How'd
to
that
be the
go?
most
Yeah.
masculine, like I was shaking. I was peeing myself when I met him because like he had this different posture to him. I mean, he was out in the garage and he was working on stuff, and I was like, normally I talk to the moms, you know, because they're real easy to connect
Yeah.
with. The dads, they're just like stubborn and old and just. And so I met Gary, and then I was like, hey, hi, I'm Robert. You know, I really like your daughter. You know, and. Yeah, it's nice to meet you. And then I had to leave actually like 5 minutes after getting there because I was grounded at home because I spent 2 weeks hanging out with her, and then I lied to my aunt and uncle and told them I was out drinking. So
That's better.
because it was a better excuse on why I couldn't be home. I was like, I've just been drinking. I can't even move right now. I'll be back later, you know. And then I finally get back. They took away my phone anytime I was at home.
Well, yeah.
And so that made it impossible to text her. But I had
He
this,
had a watch.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
a watch. And the only issue with it was it only sent emojis. And so I had to like send cryptic messages on this watch just to tell her how I was feeling, you know. And then finally I started going to work. And then I made the decision to. So I was working second shift, and I'd get there at like noon, and then I was there until 11. And so I would go from
Wow.
Fort Wayne. So I lived in Columbia City, went to Fort Wayne, and then went all the way up to Andrews, or over to Andrews. And I would spend up until 6 o'clock in the morning there, and then I would drive back
my
to Columbia
gosh.
City, and I'd pass out. And I would wake up at just about noon, and I would leave and go to work. And then that vicious, horrible no sleep, but got to spend some of my favorite moments with my wife, you know, in that cycle. And don't get me wrong, you know, I love every memory we have together, and I do regret certain things because if I was saved, I would have never acted the way I did, and I wish that's the way I approached her. But, you know, I didn't because I was, you know, 21.
You were
20
19.
I was 19.
Yep.
Just about the same build and very confident and cocky, and was like, hey, you know, and she was cool with me. So yeah. And then, yeah, Gary's listening. So this is weird.
Wait, he's listening right now?
No.
He's going to listen to the
He even
podcast.
asked if there was a live version today. I was like, no, there's not, you know.
That's amazing, though, your
Yeah.
relationship, like,
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and like so our relationship's like tripled. The only thing that's different now is like the income to love ratio is completely shifted.
Yeah.
So like before I thought I loved her a lot and I'd spend a lot of money on her and things were great because I mean we had steak dinners every night.
Wow.
And it was during COVID.
So
we were
we
stuck.
worked at the same job.
Yeah, we didn't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah, I mean we were when we moved in together in Columbia City, like I said, bad decisions. We ended up getting a job at the same place. It was Real Craft. It's a little, they make hose,
Yeah.
reel. And so we were both working there. And I mean, we were working overtime out the wazoo. So we were bringing home stacks of money.
Right.
I mean, it was, being unsaved at the time, it was the best thing I'd ever seen. And so, I just had this stockpile of cash. And so I was throwing it at steak dinners every night. I was everything. I mean, anything she wanted, anything I wanted, we got it. And then we decided that we were going to move from there. And then we moved in with my parents. And that was a horrible, horrible decision because my parents are I love my mother to death. My father, he's, yeah. So, lost cause there, but I still try to talk to him. And so, we tried crashing in the basement there, and that just
we were trying to save up for
the first night. There was a shrew in the basement.
A what?
A shrew. It's like a mouse,
but with no eyes.
Yeah,
and little weird whisker-looking things on the nose.
Yard.
Yeah.
I wanted to die. We were laying in bed, right? We just got everything down there. I'm going to bed.
No.
You start laying there, and all of a sudden you just hear.
So you didn't make eye contact
Like just
with it 'cause
little-
it doesn't have
No, so you just hear this little squeaky noise, and then all of a sudden you felt something crawl in the bed, and it was like, oh God, no. So we jump up and turn on the lights, shrew. And so we ended up sleeping upstairs, and then we stayed there for
It's disgusting.
like a month maybe, and then Gary and Karen offered us to move in with them. Or I don't remember if they offered or we just said we were going to. One of the two.
No, there was an issue with your father. And
My dad was being a douche, or sorry, like a turd.
No, you can say
whatever.
It's okay.
And so we were constantly headbutting again, just like when I was a kid. And I was like, we got to go because he didn't like her apparently, but now he likes her. So it's just a vicious cycle of him being a, like I said, douche.
Yeah, so let me throw this out there because I want to try to get a perspective for our
sorry.
audience that's listening. No, so for you, I would hear you say, didn't really grow up with faith, didn't really grow up with what or understood what it looked like to be a man. Elizabeth, you grew up with faith, grew up with what it meant to be a woman, kind of were around those things. Where were you at in your faith journey when you guys met?
So when we met, I had everything except for my plane ticket to China because I got accepted into like a missionary program.
Forgot about that part.
And yeah,
It's an important part.
But then I was actually kind of glad because then I would have been stuck over there during like all of COVID happened.
Okay.
Like right after. But so that's where like I was really strong in it, but then at the same time was stepping out of it in the same note because I was living by myself. So I was trying to figure out how does the world work when you're alone?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of people move out and they have friends come over and stuff.
Yeah.
I was in isolation most of the time.
Because of COVID or just because?
Because I chose to. This was before COVID.
Okay. I'm just trying to get a perspective.
I spent like half a year in the apartment just like, painting and just trying to figure out where I sat on faith.
Were you doing that to like get closer to God?
Right.
And, like,
Just
right
trying to
before
figure
your
out
China?
trying to figure out where I was sitting.
Yeah.
And what is he to me and like, because it was the important switch between my parents' faith and mine.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I had stepped out of faith, for probably about a year out of high school. Like, went to college, that didn't work out, dropped out of college.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I didn't want to pay the expenses that come with it.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm like, so I started working at a factory. So the influences there weren't great. And I'm like, well, they can live like this and they're fine. And then, but then.
Yeah, so again, you had the foundation, but you started to drift.
Right.
So you guys meet, you guys get together. What switch got flipped? Was it for you first? Was it for you like, how are you to the place where you are today?
Yeah.
Right? Because it sounds like for both of you that, this isn't just we come to church and we do. I would hear you say that like passionate in your marriage and what you're trying to do. I hear Robert saying like it's, something that he's diving deep into and really trying to get figured out, in his life. So what switch flipped, and was it for one or the other first?
Well, I think like family had a huge part to do with it.
Okay.
Because everybody was encouraging us and like, hey, you don't have to, but you can come to church.
Okay.
Wasn't a big fan of mom and dad's church. It was the church I grew up in, and it was good for what it was at the time, but it had changed.
Okay.
So I was like, it's just not a comfortable feeling
Yeah.
going back, just kind of,
have a problem with it.
yeah, he didn't
But then
have
again,
a problem
I
with
also
it.
was just kind of like tagging along because, the in-laws want us to go and the wife
So you
wants
guys
to
were
go.
going to College Park then,
Yes.
right? So that's
Right.
because that's where
Right.
your family church
That
is.
is, that's where I
tagged-
grew up in.
She dragged me there, and then I was just kind of like, I can kind of feel something, I kind of can't. But I'll keep going on Sunday because we were living with them at the time, mind you. So
But then we went to Life with
Jesse and Richie, and it was day one of Revelations, and then I was just,
Wow.
it was like crack, I mean, not that church is like drugs, but it was this instant, I was hooked. And like, I wanted to fit, like, because I'd never heard anything about Revelations, because at a Catholic church, they care, but they really don't care. So they, then again, it's all like predetermined. So you just kind of, you go every Sunday, and whatever the Pope thinks is good is what you're going to listen to. And so you never really get that, side perspective or even revelation. So you hear the Gospels, that's kind of it, but it's like a snippet of the Gospels. So, I was like, Revelations, well, that sounds interesting. I've thumbed through it a time or two, never read it, just looked at it, and then, you were reading it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I've never been in a church where they just like read from the Bible. That's weird. So next thing I did was I bought a Bible, and I bought a notebook, and I bought her a Bible and a notebook, and we started taking notes. And I mean, we still religiously to this day are taking notes, and we're reading, and we're talking, and we made not stupid. We made these prayer boxes, which was my idea, so I don't know why I called it stupid. We made prayer boxes where we just like write out our prayers, smack them together, and just throw them in a box. Eventually, we'll probably burn them or something, but...
Oh, no, you're going to open them up, and you're going to see the answered prayers.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was thinking that was for.
Don't burn on that. So cool.
No, I just thought like you burn them or something,
That's
I
your
don't know.
your sins, or not your sins, but things you want to get rid
Right,
of.
things that you want to
Oh,
forget.
got it.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like put things on the cross, like nail it to the cross.
Yeah, you put it in the fire, you throw that away.
But these would be cool to see, because I'm sure you
Yeah.
prayed for a baby.
Well, and that's what in the early notebooks, we were looking back like last
I've only
Saturday.
written one. So it hasn't been like...
one.
No.
This was like a couple
One prayer
months
thing.
ago.
Yeah.
I bought the boxes, and I thought, well, that'd be cute, and she does all of her art stuff, so I figured she'd paint them up all real nice. She hasn't done it yet, but she will. And so, I figured she was going to do all of that and, make them pretty. And then we were going to have like a nightly thing where we just write out our prayer, throw it in
Still
there.
happen.
And yeah, which it probably will, I imagine. And then, so we did that. And then I bought a cross because it was right after I got baptized, which was super amazing, because it's mind you, third time being baptized, but the first time I've ever gotten baptized and meant it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is pretty sweet, I like Jesus, and I'd like to be friends with him or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is cool. And then then I got a cross, because there was one Sunday sermon where you were talking about bearing your cross, and in regards to like, it's some Bible verse. I've heard it like 150 times now. But, so I bought a cross, and she bought a cross, and now we both bear them, just as kind of like a reminder. And it's nice because like, I don't know, I don't view it like it's a religious artifact or something. I wear it because I know that like it's semblance and like what he did for me. So I don't want to ever forget what he did for me. So that's kind of like my driver for why I'm progressively trying to get better, is because I know why he died.
Your
you
why.
know? And then, I know there's like one more thing, and then I'll stop talking.
Well, let me ask you this
go
while
ahead.
you're thinking about it, because again, I think that it's cool to see. So you came. So the spark for you was you came, and God met you at church. Could meet you at any church,
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I mean,
yeah. Because we had talked about finding something substantial for the marriage, because we're like, we've been dating for the past 2 years, or engaged for. We were
Married for 2 years. We were dating for 3 or 4 months.
3 or 4 months. We were engaged for a year,
Oh yeah, that's right.
and then we were married for half a year, so that equals 2.
yeah,
okay.
That's how math works.
yeah.
I dropped out of high school. I don't know how many times I got to say this.
No, I forget what I was going to say.
No, I was
But,
saying,
yeah.
so again,
Yeah.
something sparked, you came to church, God
Yeah.
lit something.
Yeah, we talked
inside of
about
you.
it beforehand. with like we needed something different in our marriage than what was in our relationship.
Oh yeah, because it was a lot of, like, looking at it now, it's just a lot of sin. I mean, to be honest,
Well, and then we had like disagreements between like viewpoints on different things because the way I grew up and what my dad did versus what he grew up and his dad did and modeled for him was totally different.
Yeah, I was sitting there making excuses for why my father was the way he was and the way that, my family's come up this whole time. And I was like, it's fine. It's fine. That's just, it's normal. That's what normal people do, where they're not Christian, they're Catholic.
Right.
So, that was just what I was defending. But at the same time, looking at it now, like, I know it's wrong. And anytime I go over there, I'm not, bashing. I'm not being a drippy faucet. I don't think. I'm just letting them know that I love them and I care about them, and I think that they should really, like, just take 2 seconds and look around them. Because I'm sorry, but if the Pope tells you to jump off a bridge, are you going to jump off a bridge, or are you going to walk away from the Catholic Church?
Right. Yeah. So with that, so there's this spark. Things get going inside of you, and again, you guys have been on a journey.
Yeah.
Right. So you're reading, you're taking notes, you're listening, you're spending time with people that are helping develop you personally, and as you guys are doing in your relationship. What has been the biggest change, though? So as you have been progressively like pushing into or leaning into Jesus, what do you see maybe as the biggest change personally, or maybe the biggest change in your relationship?
For me personally, it was my addiction to pornography was the biggest thing that I've gotten away from. And that is really cool to actually have the opportunity to say, because it took a couple of really big fights in the apartment to get past it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, because that's huge.
Yes. Yeah. And men don't talk about
it. It's still a constant temptation, because, I mean, you walk around outside and there was a preacher I listened to. He said it was like you live in a world full of a 5, right? And it's on a 10-point scale. And you're comfortable with 5 because you see it every day and it's casual and it's normal. But then when you're at a 7 or an 8, that's when you start to kind of look at it and you're like, okay, well, that's not really appropriate. But when you're at a full on 10, you get to the point where you're just kind of like, it's normal, and you don't even, and now you've adulterized or whatever, that was kind of where he was going with it. But, it's a very big problem. Because it is normalized. I mean, even growing up as a kid, like, my parents would talk about it like it was just something they did. Right. And it was like, why? Because I found it when I was like 6, right? And ever since, been on just a downhill slope. And it didn't matter what church I went to. It didn't matter how much I, thought I was praying to God. It didn't matter what was going on. Nothing could fix it. Because every time I'd turn around, I'm just right back at it, just watching and just whatever. Right. But no, I think the big turning point was, well, I mean, even like recently, like, we still have conversations about it because it's a lot of trauma for her. Because I lied to her for a year, 2 years.
No, it was 3 months.
3 months, whatever.
Seemed like a year, 2 years.
Yeah.
So I've lied to her a lot, and I still apologize. Like, even though I know that she forgives me and everything's fine and I need to forgive myself, a lot. But it's such a controlling thing in my life, or at least it was, that like I couldn't see past how much I was hurting her.
Yeah.
Because I was being selfish, but like, I didn't see it as being selfish. I saw it as normal. And so,
and that's something that took me a long time to figure out, was like, especially seeing how comfortable his dad is, even talking about it nowadays. I'm like, that wasn't in my house.
No.
Like, Dad doesn't even watch movies with bad words.
Right.
Without saying not nice 20 times anytime. Like, it could be the same word.
I did get him to start on John Wick. He hasn't finished it yet.
Wow.
But he started it. He did watch Red and Red 2. He liked both of those, even though there is language.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Wow. That's amazing to be able to say that.
So, and that's what I mean. So you would say, I was an addict, I'm out. People celebrate it. people struggle saying,
Yeah.
I was a porn addict and I'm out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know why they struggle. Like, what's the difference?
Oh, it's such an uncomfortable thing to think of. Like, I just got chills thinking about the fact I just said it on a podcast. You know,
I
it's
know,
like
but it happens to so many men you would not even expect. Like,
saying it in
I'm telling you,
confidence.
I know.
with like one person isn't like that bad, but like when you,
Hey, I get it.
you know, tell more than one person, because like even talking to Gary about it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
because you're making it
Because
known.
I had to look at my representation of a man and tell him I failed. And you know, that killed me.
Yeah.
But then it also gave me so much strength to realize that, you know, if I can tell him, I can tell my wife, and if I can tell my wife, I can get over this.
Yeah.
But the
You know?
fact that you did just say it on a podcast, like that, somebody is watching or listening that may be struggling with the same thing. And I guarantee there probably is at least one person, because it is such a big thing that nobody talks about. But just by you admitting it and saying that you realize that you admitted
It's not
it is
taboo.
such a big deal.
Just say it.
Yeah.
It's not taboo.
But you're helping somebody.
That's what I mean. Like, people are doing it all the time. It's not taboo.
Right.
Like, whether they want to bring it up or not, the majority of men are watching porn.
What is that saying about something about keeping sin quiet, or that's what the devil works on, or I
So
don't know.
we're at the end. So get ready
Whoa.
for the questions. I just want to say something, Robert, and this might sound weird. But I have interviewed, talked to, been with hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of men. I've never met anybody like you. I've never talked to anybody like you, and nor have I seen the potential that God has in somebody like you.
Yeah.
Because what you just did in two realms of admitting where you were and where you want to be, I have seldom met men that are willing to go to that depths and admit it and then take steps forward. I would say God has got some amazing plans for your life. I'm excited for you. Like, I'm
too.
super excited.
Yeah, that's a testimony.
Yeah, it is huge. I've never been around men who will be that vulnerable to say,
Yeah.
I'm a boy working to be a man. I was a porn addict. Now I'm out.
That's
And it's
something he
still a struggle.
struggles with, is his vulnerability. He's like, nobody else is like this. And I'm like, it's okay
Right.
to be,
Great.
it's okay to be vulnerable.
It's the only way you're going
I
to
said
get
you
anywhere.
can't.
Because I'm very emotional. I'm surprised I didn't cry. I teared up a little bit, but I did not cry. So
No, I'm just
But I
telling
think
you.
more men need to be that way and need to show it,
Yes.
because if you're not doing it, then nobody else is going to do
There's
it.
Yeah.
listen, there is strength, and again, I don't even use the word vulnerable. There's strength and authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not this like you're an emotional baby.
Right.
You're
Right.
authentic.
You're real,
Right? And
yeah.
that's the problem. I mean, men, we can't have a veneer. We can't wear these shields. We can't, listen, just be authentic. This is where I am. This is where I need to be. This is where I am. This is where I need to be. Once you get to that place, God does things that only He can do.
Yeah.
Because we're authentic. We admit it. We need your help. We need your help. And we're going to move in direction. So I'm super proud of you. Not that means anything, but I think it's awesome. So
Thank you.
Good for
I
you.
think it's awesome too.
Okay,
All right,
questions.
question time. Here we go. All right, so Richie Ulrey.
Oh, no. Oh, this one's
good stuff.
Oh, you got him when he was on, right?
I did. Very good.
All right. Comment. I appreciate you both.
So
Well, he's not very emotional, remember?
Yeah, he is not as.
So that's
Go ahead, Robert. Say it.
I love you, Richard. Ulrich.
All right, here's his question. What are some of the biggest struggles you both have faced in early marriage? I think that's a great question.
Oof. I just oofed.
the difference between marriage and dating, I think, was a big one
Okay.
to figure out.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more responsibility that comes with a
Yeah,
marriage.
so once you guys got together, got married, the responsibility piece.
How you respond to your girlfriend as opposed to how you respond to your wife. And understanding the fact that your words are way more powerful than you think they are is, personally for me, the thing that I've been dealing with the most is trying to figure out how to respect Elizabeth, but also put my foot down when I think something's wrong or whatever. Because like you can ask Richie, you can ask anybody. I am the softest person you've ever met. Like when I was working out, right? Like she would tell me I need to come home. You know what I did? I came home. Like I didn't fight it. I didn't question it. But then at the same in the same breath, I would get home and then I would be angry at her because I was at home and I wasn't working out. You know, when I've made an obligation, I paid the money.
Yeah.
I want to go, you know, but at the same time, I wasn't sitting back and looking at it from her point of view where, you know, I'm getting thinner and she's getting bigger because, you know, the baby, but, you know,
Right.
you know, and it was really starting to affect her. And so I had to just make a smart decision financially and everything else to stop the gym temporarily and then come back once we're both at the point where we can both work up together instead of me being at my peak physical and then her trying to wallow her way back up to the top, you know. And
Yeah, that's good.
but that's definitely
All right,
Okay.
Richie has another comment.
Oh, of course.
He says, tell him also to let Elizabeth talk.
Ouch.
Oh, yeah, about that.
Go ahead, talk.
Well,
anything to
you're
say.
good. I mean, you didn't have it.
I said stuff.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I did motor mouth for about 45
You know
minutes.
what?
So.
Okay.
That's not true. That's good. I think it's a good balance.
Yeah, I'm not sure who this is sent from, but here we go. We will find out if they respond in time. So, questions for Robert and Elizabeth Grover. Elizabeth, what was your best and worst things about growing up in a large family?
The best thing was that we had so many people to talk to,
Yeah.
but that's also the worst thing. Especially with it being female.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was nice to have people to talk to, but then at times,
Yeah, you couldn't ever get by yourself.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and the youngest is still 8. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Big difference.
there's like a big difference maturity wise, like trying to not be mom, even though I'm becoming a mom.
Yeah.
And like, it's just a vicious cycle. It happens over and over again.
Yeah.
But
All right. This is for you both.
Yep.
Where do you see yourselves in 10 years looking at your spiritual walk, your family, and career? Question mark.
All together on
Why
the
did I
up
read
and
the
up.
question mark? Wait, what'd you say?
All
All
together,
together
on the up and up. Marriage is good.
Yep.
Yeah, like Charlotte's, you know, becoming,
she'll be
she'll be 10. So, you know, she'll be trying to act dumb, but I'm hopefully going to be able to put the boot down and be like, listen, you know, I whistle like a girl, but I am your father. So you're going to listen to me now.
He's referring to dads. My
Yeah,
dad's a
because
horse
Gary's
whistle.
got this like, you know, just like this guttural whistle, and I'm just, you know, and it's like, I can't, you know, if I have sons, I can't be like, come here, boys.
Oh, I would love to be able to
yell.
whistle. Like,
Yeah, dad can
that.
just do it
I
naturally.
can't. I can't.
love it.
But no,
I-
we'll be homeschooling Charlotte.
You will.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
she's not going back to work, and I'll be
Yeah.
the primary
Yeah.
yeah, awesome.
workhorse. So,
So that'll
Yeah,
probably
good
be
for
in
you.
10 years.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Family
Yep.
will all be close.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already
You're going to
are.
have more kids?
Oh, most definitely.
Really?
Prob-
You
if
want a
God
lot of
will let
kids?
us, yeah, well, we ain't stopping until He says, you
Shoving
know.
them right
Yeah.
out. You want a lot of kids
Yeah,
too?
as many as possible.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I did
Yeah.
say just a boy and a girl, but now that we're having a girl first, I'm kind of saying to the rules, you know.
Yeah.
It's all up in the wind. Whatever He wants us to have, I'm
Yeah.
grateful.
That's awesome. All right, so those are the questions.
Okay, so finish us up, Jenny, with our number.
Yes. The number is 260-408-8383. And the number that I just said right now is our texting group. So you just need to text podcast to that number, and it gets you into daily, or not daily, but weekly text messages from us that lets you know who's going to be on the podcast. And then we want you to ask questions back to get another perspective, I guess. I don't know. But throughout the week, if you know somebody that you want to be on the podcast, if you have questions, comments, you want to start a debate. Yeah, there you go. Just anything. Text us.
Yeah. Well, again, Elizabeth, Robert, thank you guys for coming on. And I do. I mean, like, I'm just not only super excited for you, Robert, for you guys and your relationship. And again, the witness to young people,
Yeah.
like young couples because your story's no different than all of them, right? Like they all
Go ahead, finish what you were saying.
No.
Sorry, I am horrible
No,
at interrupting.
listen, I can remember anything. Go
Okay,
ahead.
all right. So,
Did you
okay.
forget?
No, I know what I was going to say.
Me either.
Okay, so it's not like officially in the books yet, but
Okay.
it's in the process of starting. So I told Chucky about it, which Chuck is the He does security, and he's friends with my wife's family / my family. So that's how I know him. But I told him how I really am like passionate and thinking about like starting like a well, at first I was telling him father-son thing because I thought that's what we were having. But unfortunately, fortunately, it's a girl. So I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, he had it all planned out.
So it'll be like daddy-daughter kind of thing, but it was I was just kind of
cool.
throwing around the idea of getting fathers to be more involved with their children, and so I was thinking like going to a campground or something, even if it's with a daughter, and just teaching them manly stuff and stuff about the Bible.
fun.
And I thought it would be both growing in their faith as well as growing in relationship with their father, because I know for me I never had that, and so I thought it would be cool to
that's awesome.
kind of give back in whatever way I can. So
Be
nothing
looking,
is official.
be watching.
It's going to be a while probably.
But either way, I mean, the point is you guys have went from where most couples are, out doing their own thing. God met you, and not only was it a moment, I mean, it's been a journey, and he's talking to both of you, he's speaking to both of you. You guys are taking steps in the right direction. God's using you guys in amazing ways. And so I'm super excited to watch over time what he's going to do, because again, I think young couples are looking for examples. Like, what do I do and where do we go and how does that look? So thanks for joining us. Again, if you guys are watching and or listening, don't miss this. If you have an opportunity to see the clip that Jenny puts out, share it. If you're on our YouTube, leave comments, subscribe to our podcast. We'd love for you guys to be able to get this out so we can keep speaking into the lives of other people.
Yeah.
So again, thanks for joining us. Everybody's listening and or watching, thank you too. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.